games media just doesn't know where they want to take Cyberpunk 2077 coverage anymore. They're either talking about it for the right reasons, which would be covering the glitches and the refunds, like stuff like that leaked conference call where they talk about how they purposely ignored consoles, at least the base versions, and so on and so on. That, to me, is legitimate Cyberpunk 2077 coverage of this game. What's not legitimate is when you're whining about butts on billboards in the game, which is starting to come up again, especially now that outlets like The Guardian and a few other places that didn't get review copies in advance before the embargo. These are the people that had to go out and and shill out their own money to play the game, to review it. Those reviews are starting to come out now, and they're generally pretty hilarious. But I do find it funny that a lot of these outlets are trying to be legitimate news sites now, which I find hilarious because most of them are just a freaking joke. I did want to point out, I don't remember if I put this in the last video or not, but a lot of the money that they've made has been pissed away due to the fact that their stocks have slid so badly. They've actually lost more than $1 billion. So I guess all of that profit that they made on the game is now being stolen by bad decisions. But anyway, check this out. I just want to show this real quick. Now, this is funny. So a lot of these outlets are loving the fact that this game is now starting to get a little bit of backlash because now they can jump on it and actually criticize it for legitimate reasons. They think they're journalists now. How Cyberpunk 2077 sold a promise and rigged the system. CD Projekt Red risked the reputation of others to insulate Cyberpunk 2077. Of course, the GOG walks back release of controversial horror game. I talked about that yesterday. Here they are talking about the bugs. This is legit criticism. All of this is. What isn't is trash like this. I'm just going to highlight this, and then I want to go to the main review I wanted to talk about to show you what I'm talking about when it comes to these clowns. Because, of course, now the game is racist, sexist, all that stuff. But another thing that I find really irritating is people saying stuff like this. Like, yo, CD Projekt Red, I'm sure you could have come up with a better dialogue than get wrapped from an enemy. I get it. You're being edgy, but geez, I'm actually disgusted. Even like get effed, is fine. I tried to be like, hey, maybe they made an effort to fix shit after early backlash and phobic stuff. They didn't. And I want to point out, just like I'm going to point out with this review, the game is 18 plus. It's a mature rated game. If you don't like language like that, maybe don't play the game. Stuff that's triggering for you, maybe you shouldn't play the game. You can always just stay away from the game and not play it. But, this is looking for Twitter ass pats, in my opinion. But anyway, The Guardian is one of those outlets that I talked about before who just got the game reviewed a little late. This dropped the 16th, which was yesterday. And let's take a look at this trash review here. They gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Cyberpunk 2077 review. Could it ever live up to the hype? Probably not, even if it had been a perfect release. I think that's actually a fair headline because it's true. You're talking about a game with a decade-long almost hype. Hard to live up to that. PC version tested. Blade Runner meets Grand Theft Auto in this sprawling hellscape of a role-playing game which is extraordinarily immersive but let down by misogyny and xenophobia. So those are the real big knocks. Not the glitches, not the game crashes, not the coming in and out of rendering, all the weird stuff that this game can do, the broken consoles. No. It's the misogyny. That's the real downside here. This is why you want to put that wallet away, put it back in your pocket, Put the money, put the card back in. You don't want to buy this game. It's such a joke. They can't stop complaining about this nonsense. And here's what was really funny about this review. I want to show you something that I got a real kick out of. So the first half of it, we're not going to go over because it goes over the game. And by this point, you already know what this game is. I want to come down here. Right at the top, the first thing they start complaining about when it comes to the downside of this game is a bunch of nonsense. Okay. What is this first thing they complain about? They complain about the fact that there's women that are dressed sexy in the game, a little too revealing, which is why I like to call these people puritans, because they desperately want to take women back to the time where they wore big fluffy dresses and men were hot and bothered by the sight of a woman's ankle. These are the times that all these journalists would love to go back to. Maybe they could roll their sleeves up, show a little bit of wrist. These are the things that they want. And it's pretty obvious, because anytime a woman looks hot in any kind of media, these people jump all over themselves to put it down, to say that it's bad and all this stuff. And it's like, what is with this regression in the way women dress? But it's okay if a man is half naked. That's different. That's hot. That I can't even keep my pants on kind of language usually, especially if a woman reviews it. They'll talk about that all day. But if a man talks about how good a woman looks, we got a problem. This is why, like I said, I like to call these people puritans. But that's how so right away when we start talking about the downsides of the game, that's where they hit. And then boom, now the bugs are a problem. Right? But what do? They go right back into nonsense. Talking about how the dystopian world that's got a lot of problems and a lot of bad people, well, there's a little bit of racism and sexism and xenophobia. And because of that, the game needs to be knocked down. It's like, do you not understand what you're playing? Do you not understand the game that you picked up? There were ratings on it. There were warnings in the back to why this rating was given. Like, you don't have to play the game. You don't have to buy it. Many people are trying to get refunds. But I don't think that this is valid criticism. This is just virtue signaling to your buddies in the Bay Area so you can all sit around and whine about the game, having women in short shorts because you don't like that, because you want to roll down some socks and see a little bit of ankle. Like, it's just, I don't get it. I really don't get how these sites still exist. I never will. But check it out. Like, look at this. But you have to play by its rules, except in Night City's xenophobia and misogyny as unavoidable, fictive components. Nonsense. Nonsense. Listen, this stuff is on the box. If you don't like these things, don't buy it. But what's really telling, like I said, is here's all the complaints for this game, right? They spent half of the review telling you about the background and the world, and then the other half of the review is complaining about the game. This much is spent telling you about how the game is broken. This much, and this paragraph right here above it, is all about telling you how the game is sexist and misogynist and xenophobic. That's not what gamers are looking for. Most gamers don't give a shit. It's all these weirdos in the Bay Area of California that run the gaming industry. The Guardian actually is in the UK, but most of the gaming industry is in the Bay Area of California. They're the only ones whining about this shit. Everybody else is talking about the broken game and the fact that they kind of bent the knee to China. I just don't I don't get it. And I don't get how these people keep getting, like, no one's This is, and like I've said, this is why YouTube reviewers are blowing up, because they don't focus on this trash. And it's only a matter of time. I think next year, probably for sure next year, because we're still not out of the woods yet on the coof. And I think a lot of these outlets like Polygon, Kotaku, GameSpot, I think a lot of them are finally going to fold, because they just don't bring in any money. And they have too much money in salary and all this stuff. I think for sure they're done. It'll be an interesting year. But anyway, these are not the reasons to not buy Cyberpunk. The reasons to not buy Cyberpunk is if you're mad at CD Projekt Red, or if you want to wait for the glitches to get fixed, because the game is legitimately fun. The game is a good game. The problem is the game is broken on consoles, and it's not optimized very well. In time, this will be a fantastic game to play, and if you can get it running, it's a fun game to play. Those are facts. Not this nonsense that they're bitching about. That's not the problem. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, if you would please like, subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.